coffee. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next Sound Advice Saturday. So in today's episode, we're going to do some Cakewalk Q&A, but as you already know, that doesn't mean that we have to stay with only Cakewalk. If you have any kind of questions whatsoever regarding recording, mixing, mastering, whatever it might be, hop on and ask some questions. So it's good to see some familiar faces in here. Pirate Beats, Keith Lane, good to have you guys. Literally was a little bit late logging onto the stream today because I had to update the chart toppers. Literally got a notification right before I hopped on the stream that Pirate Beats is a new $20 a month Patreon member. Dude, you rock. That is so awesome. Thank you ever so much for that. And just appreciate all of your support throughout the past few months. Not just you, but I mean, everybody has been so supportive. It's been amazing. Love each and every one of you. And I'm so glad that you all have chosen to stop by today as well. Trying to kind of get this screen system lined out here. I'm using sort of a different system today because I'm switching computers. I was actually kind of afraid I wasn't going to get this up and running today. Still not on the new computer, but we're running kind of a Band-Aid system here, but it's going to work. So if you're new here, if this is your absolute first time here, want to welcome you as well. You're amongst friends. This is a great audio community here. Everyone who's on here is always very helpful. They have great questions. And if you have questions that I can't possibly get to, maybe I'm getting sidetracked by shiny objects or there's a squirrel that ran by on the line, then they normally will jump right in and help answer some questions too. Now, if you have questions that you're wanting to like absolutely make sure that they will get answered, the super chat is always an option. You can donate any amount through the super chat and you can actually type a question in there with that donation and it will put that right to the top and it guarantees that I see it. Even if, okay, making sure this next setting, sorry guys. But anyway, it makes sure that I see it. It makes sure that the answer comes through. And if something was to happen and like say just the stream crashed or something like that, it actually saves it in a folder that I have, of all of the questions that have been super chatted. And, that way I can go back and check it out and even get a hold of you personally if that's possible. So, but if this is your first time here, so thankful to have you. We come in every Saturday, which I have an announcement about that, but every Saturday up until now, we come in, every Saturday we talk about just all things audio. I usually try to stick to some kind of a format. We call it Sound Advice Saturday because we usually try to answer questions. We try to, we took one Saturday and we debunked a bunch of audio myths, kind of those things that people are just parroting and saying, regurgitating, I should say, and that aren't true. And we kind of broke those down and I helped you guys understand why some of those things were false and what to look out for. And then also we've actually done live Q&A. We've done live streams with interviews. So yeah, if you're new here, this channel is all about making good music. And along those same lines, let me just go ahead and give you our creed around here. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. The motto around here is that we can dream alone and we can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. And I've seen this time and time again when we hop on these live streams, people who are helping one another in the chat section, people who are just downright awesome. So many people just, I've seen some collaborations come out of this. So, all right. Sorry, I was trying to look at I don't have the same system, so I can't see the chat like I normally can. So I was trying to make sure everybody could hear me. Let's go on next. This is one of my favorite parts. I love this time. Let's give some credit where credit is due. Ladies and gentlemen, here are our chart toppers. Pirate Beats is coming in at a $5 Patreon, or I'm sorry, a $5 super chat donation and a $20 a month Patreon member now. So he's bumped. Well, really, him and James are kind of neck and neck. I just simply put him on top because I was real quick in a hurry. Had to get that uploaded before this. Like literally 30 seconds ago, I just made this. So James Sheets, $30 worth of super chats throughout the past. He's also done some great stuff offline to help me out. Greatly appreciate that. I did a project for him where we made a couple of podcast intros for him, and he was very generous in that aspect. He's also a $10 a month Patreon member. Zave, my man, he's been here from day one. It seems like he's a staple around here. He has donated a total of $16 through super chats, and he's also a $1 a month Patreon member. PST404, he's donated $5 through the super chat, and he's a $5 a month Patreon member. Marcity 101, Mark Bergstar, Chris Knowles, and Silvermane Wesley John, who stumbled upon the stream accidentally and still left a $5 bill. That's awesome. All right, let's jump in straight into some of these questions. I hope that by now you guys have already populated the questions here. And I'm going to try to make sure that I just claim you did it alphabetically on last names. That's funny. Okay, so by the way, Keith, I don't know if you have seen the new shirt that we got in honor of you. There's a Threadless is the name of the company that I go through, but I have my merchandise through them because I'm not a big enough channel to actually have a merchandise tab underneath my. So I actually have a separate store, which is one way that you can help support the channel. And I created a shirt just for you, Keith, just for you. If you have not seen it, you need to see it. It's it's pretty funny. So actually, I might even be able to pull that up, and then I could just show you, because if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. Let's see here. Oh, wow, there it is. Quick tip, ADSR do a great free sampler. Oh, okay, cool. See, if you're new here, that's what I'm talking about. Got that tip from Bongonzo. Nice. I knew I was forgetting something, Keith. I need to get that lava lamp going in here. It might make it a little warmer too. Not that it's cold, but okay, here we go. All right. So yeah, if I hop over, I'm going to show you these shirts real quick, just for the, not a shameless plug, but just for the sake of showing Keith this shirt if he hasn't seen it already. All right, here we go. This is your shirt, Keith, in honor of you. Oh yeah, look at that in all of its glory. Nuttier than squirrel poop. If you're new here and you're wondering what in the world is going on, Keith has got this innate ability to hop on the chat and just like say random stuff that is hilarious sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't make any sense at all. And so I told him, I was like, dude, you're nuttier than squirrel poop. Well, everybody kind of like took to that and was like, that's hilarious. So I made a shirt out of it. Oh, Pirate Beats, thanks for noticing. Yeah, I'm trying to, I was doing the whole circle thing, and I like the circular screen here showing my mug. But then I found out about the spectralizer plugin. I was like, ooh, that's pretty cool. Good squirrel. Ooh, we have our first actual question here. Okay. The question is how to install Contact in Cakewalk. Now that's a good question because I'm not actually a Contact user. But this is definitely something that if someone in the chat doesn't get to today, I will definitely research and get back with you. I know, my buddy over there at, Creative Sauce, he actually did something along those same lines. I might even be able to find his video real quick and send you a link to that. Yeah, I'm not a contact user. But yeah, we can definitely, yeah, look at that. I found his video. Okay, so I'll just drop that in the link here. I'll drop the link. I should drop that in the link. I will drop the link in the description of the video, or rather in the chat section here. And if you want to go and check that out. So the title of the video is How to Use Contact in Cakewalk by BandLab 2020. I don't know if he actually goes through how to install it. Not sure. At any rate, I'm going to go ahead and post this in the chat section now. So Adam Grossman says it's just like any other VST plugin. Okay. So yeah, if that's the case, then just simply find the folder that Cakewalk is looking at for your VST plugins, and then just have it pull from that folder. That should be really simple then. See, I didn't know if it was a VSTI or if it was a standalone plugin, or because I don't use it. But nonetheless, there's also a link to Creative Sauce's channel. Mike over there is he's got a video on that can help you as well. And I have to address something about that, by the way, too. I've had a couple of individuals. It's been off and on now. I've had one individual who was kind of adamant about me giving stuff away on my channel and giving away free content and holding things like this for free. And he was like, dude, you're selling yourself short. You should be charging for that. That's your time, yada, yada, yada. And I've already discussed with those of you who are here all the time, I've already discussed with you my reasoning on all of that. And I don't think, although he meant well, that's not what I'm about here. But I also have had a couple of individuals reach out and was like, dude, why do you keep plugging other people's channels? Thank you, Ted, for subscribing. Why do you keep plugging other people's channels? Why do you keep bringing on people from other channels on your channel that do the same thing? It's just going to take away from your audience. And that's not the case at all. I think if you get to the point where you think that you're just going to cloister a bunch of people in a little, huddle them all in underneath your banner and they can only learn from you, that's wrong. That's just not my way of thinking. I think the more that everyone can get to know and collaborate with one another, the more we're all going to grow and learn together. And that's what this is all about. You can dream alone, you can create alone, but together you can achieve so much more. So I just wanted to address that right now because I don't want individuals getting on to me for posting a link to Mike's channel, when in actuality, me and him are becoming pretty close. We're becoming pretty good friends outside of YouTube already, just through chats and emailing back and forth and stuff. So, all right. So we're having some more questions here. Okay. How to extract a RAR file, because many VS2 download on RAR. Okay. So there is a RAR downloader that you can get for free online. There's also hey, Adam, there's also a, it's already in the chat. See, that's what I'm talking about, Keith. He's all over it. 7Z is also good for file extraction, and it's free, and it's, like he said, very reliable. So those are two different ways. Typically speaking, though, if you have a RAR file that's downloaded, if you right click that, you have several different options on that sub menu that will pop up there, and it should be able to give you several different options to extract those to wherever you would like them. And then you can actually choose your Cakewalk audio library from that drop down menu. And then you can just real quickly, I'll go ahead and pull up Cakewalk here, and I'll show you how you can get Cakewalk to recognize that once you have it extracted. That might actually be helpful. Coffee is helpful too. I don't think I've ever done a live stream without coffee. Mark George, if you're using a sample pack, you can put kick, snare, and hats and whatever and put them in different parts on the panel and narrow the fields, and you can allocate them to different keys on the piano roll. Sweet. Is that a question? You can put, okay, so you're saying that's what you do with Contact. Okay. That sounds honestly like just a MIDI keyboard. I have a MIDI keyboard that I can do that with myself. So I'm not sure. All right, so I'll go to new project. I'll just open up a blank one so it doesn't booger things up. Keith says he made a cup specially in time. It ain't that squirrel poop coffee, is it? Stuff's like $100 a bag or something. Okay, so I'm going to try to bring this up real quick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Ah, that would be useful. Yeah. Okay, cool. Nice. That might be something I actually have to look into. Check that out. I did just download a trial of a plugin that allows you to play your guitar and it converts it into MIDI. And it's pretty sweet. It's not $100 sweet, which still is cheap if it actually worked. The only problem is I'm having oh, that's in Grace. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the comments here. But anyway, this plugin, it's called Guitar to MIDI or something like that. And it literally allows you to play your guitar and run it through your MIDI plugins. And it has like a standalone version of it as well. It's actually pretty cool. If I can get it to work right, I want to do a demo of it on my channel and show you guys. I've got the free trial right now, but if I can get it to work like I need it to work, then by all means, I will definitely kick that down to you guys, and I will be buying the full-blown version. Okay, so it looks like Barish Kudon. Sorry if I butchered that. He says, how can I get VST plugin in Cakewalk? Okay, so I'm actually going to answer your question at the same time that I'm going to help. I can't remember her name, and I can't scroll back up like I used to be able to. I want to say it was Judy. Jinnel. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to help you and Jinnel at the same time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go over to the desktop real quick. I'm going to show you this here. So up here in the project section, or I'm sorry, the edit section, and I should be able to zoom in on this now. I've got this cool little, let's see. Oh, I got to start it. So I downloaded this cool little thing called Zoom It, so that when I'm live like this, I can actually zoom in on my screen. And now I can't find it. That's cool. Well, anyway, you go up here to edit, and then you go to preferences. And from your preferences menu, this is where you can actually set your folder locations. You can see that here. And I really wish that Zoom It was working so that you could actually see that a little bit better. Let me try to find that real quick. Yeah, I thought I already had downloaded. What's going on here? Anyway, you go in here to your preferences menu, and underneath this section here that's called File, you're going to see another section there that's called Folder Locations. And then from here, you just click on that. What this is going to do is it's going to bring up all the folder locations that Cakewalk by BandLab is pulling from. So wherever that Cakewalk by BandLab has VSTs, wherever it might have groove quantized video files, wave files, cal files, even your track icons, your track templates, anything like that, it's going to actually showcase that here and tell you exactly where it's pulling from. Another thing that this screen is actually really good for is for being able to, if you're going to switch like maybe from one hard drive to another, or in this case, like here recently, actually, I'm currently doing a thing where I just bought a new computer and I'm going to be updating the computer that I have. Now I need to move all of my projects and my programs and everything to that new computer. Well, the cool thing is with Cakewalk, you have this ability to tell it where to pull those files from. So I can literally have all of my program files on my solid state drive, and then have all of my project project files and my sound libraries and all of that on a separate hard drive, even my VST plugins, and I can tell Cakewalk where to pull what from. So this is one section that's going to help with that. However, when it comes to the VSTs, what you're going to need to do with that, now this was for Jenna because she asked the question first, how do you get it to recognize? And so you're going to find all of that in here. And then for the other question that was asked, you're actually going to go into Utilities and Cakewalk Plugin Manager. Let me see if I can, yeah, there it is. Oh, cool. I was able to actually download it and get it to work. Boom, here we go. Okay. So anyway, you go into your Utilities, which is here. Okay. And then you're going to go into Cakewalk Plugin Manager. Okay. And then from here, you're going to actually have a screen that will come up like this. Now, for the individual who just asked the question about how you get Cakewalk to recognize your VSTs, this is it. So from this screen is where you're going to find everything pertaining to your VST libraries and everything like that. Okay. So James Sheets, thank you, man. Appreciate the $10 super chat. So awesome. I think this right here should answer the biggest majority of your question that you just had. So from here is where you will actually do a scan. So you'll scan your VST folders, and that will actually scan the folders that you have chosen. Now, in order to get it to actually pick up on the new VST that you've just maybe inputted, then what you need to do after that is you need to go to options, which actually I would rather do this, probably should do this before rather than after. So within here is where you're going to tell it where to pull that information from. So as of right now, you can see that I've got it pulled up. It's taking information from a ton of places. So anywhere that I think even remotely there might be a plugin there for my DAW, I'm going to go ahead and hit add, and then I'm going to go through this menu here and I'm going to add that routing path. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit OK and I'm going to scan, and then they should pop up in here. Okay. So anytime you get a new plugin, if you've already got if you've already got those folders allocated and it's already went into one of the folders that you have it set to go into anyway, as soon as you do that, it's going to automatically show up anyway. But you may have to go in and manually find it sometimes, depending on the company. Usually though, when Cakewalk starts up, it does a scan of your VSTs anyway, just in case there was any changes. So I hope that was helpful. I've got like a ton of questions coming in here, and I'm trying to, okay. All right. So James, he not only gave us a $10 super chat, but he had a question attached to that. So I'm going to go back and answer that. He says, what do you think about the Pro Channel presets, and do you ever use them? Yes, actually I do use them. And now let me clarify though how I use them, because a lot of people think, well, if you're using presets, then your music's going to be trash. Now, I've covered this time and time again, but I want to reiterate one more time that templates and presets are not your enemy. I know that a lot of people think, well, okay, that's crushing your creativity. Now you're taking everything out of your, you're taking human hands off of it. However, what you have to be aware of is if you can get to an end result quicker and still maintain the integrity of the creativity, why not? So if I have a Pro Channel pulled up, and let's say, like, just for instance, I'll pull one up right here. go into my Pro channel. Here's my EQ. And let's say I want to pull up the preset bass deep or bass fingered or bass pick emphasis. So let's say I pulled up this preset, and as I'm listening to the bass guitar, I'm just cycling through these presets. Okay, boom, 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 boom. And then I find one, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That sounds really good. It just needs a little bit of tweaking. Essentially, I've saved myself more time just by kind of flipping through those real quick to get to an end result quicker. And then I can maintain the integrity of the creativity by going in and sort of deep diving and saying, okay, this sounds really close, but it's just missing these few areas. So absolutely, presets and templates are really your best friend when it comes to creating stuff fast. You want to do that. So thank you, Adam, by the way, for answering some of the questions in the chat there. I see you reaching out and helping there. The questions are coming in so fast that Crypto, nice to meet you, buddy. First time here. Good deal. I need like a first time here, a buzzer or something in the background, maybe a lava lamp, Keith, that goes off and like starts spitting out crazy colors or something. And I'm seriously, guys, if I didn't get to your question, just repost it because they're coming in so quick. I can't keep up with all of them. That's a good problem to have though. All right, James. So I hope that answered your question about the Pro Channel presets. Once again, if you're new here, if you have a question that you want to absolutely make sure that it will get answered, use the super chat feature, and you can anything from like 99 cents all the way up to $100 or whatever you want to donate. But that will literally guarantee that your question will get answered. So, Robert, ClickTricks is a good program for live video use as well. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. Adam Grossman says VST isn't listed there. You go to the VST section for that folder. Right. I think I covered that. If not, I apologize. Pirate Beach says that is very helpful with the song files. Yes. Moving them to a different drive to save space. Definitely. Did Cakewalk give Melodyne auto tune? Okay, so Barish, this is a thing that I need to actually address that, because in the last video that I released about Melodyne, I was under the assumption that everybody that has Cakewalk now, like right off the bat, they have Melodyne Essential. And the reason why I assume that is because I've been a Cakewalk user ever since back in the Sonar X3 days. I actually was introduced to Cakewalk when I bought the Boss BR800, and I got Sonar LE, which is like the limited edition. It's almost like Pro Tools first. But literally, I sat down, opened it up, fell in love with it, and I've been using it ever since. But at that point in time, when Melodyne first came out, they actually gave all the Cakewalk users Melodyne Essential. And so anyone who downloaded Cakewalk from that point forward, if you bought, I think it was Cakewalk Studio or Cakewalk Artist, you actually got a copy of the Melodyne Essential. But now, however, you get a 30-day free trial of Essential, and then you have to buy the license. So yes, Melodyne does work well with Cakewalk. In fact, it's one of the few companies where they really like blended together and did a lot of stuff like sort of like ventures together. They collaborated a lot in the early days. That was back to when Sonar was actually starting to move towards getting on a Mac, which I'm hoping we're headed in that direction still. Oops. I hit that button again. Okay, we'll take that off. The last time I did that, I was like, what in the world just happened? I've got a piece of analog gear here that if I bump the button, it will do that. There we go. Okay. So, yes, Melodyne is Bongonzo's in the building. What up? So, yes, Melodyne does come, quote unquote, with Cakewalk, but it's only a 30-day free trial. So, as of right now. However, even the Essential, you can get a lot done with the Essential. So, if you have the extra and you can go ahead and get it, I definitely would, because it does so many things that Melodyne never thought about, or I'm sorry, Autotune never thought about doing. And to me, it's more transparent too. So, okay. So Keith says, I set multiple folders for VST locations. I use the plugin utility section. In options, you can set new paths. Yes, we covered that. Good deal. Tommy Torres. He says, my input output devices in preferences isn't showing anything. I don't currently have a MIDI in device as I am on deployment. How can I set it to my computer keyboard and computer speakers? That should be an option. That should be an option. Let me hop over to the screen real quick and we'll try to work that out. But I'm almost positive if you go into your preferences menu here, under devices and driver settings, this is probably where it's getting messed up, because a lot of times you have to go, or not driver settings, playback and recording here. In your driver mode, you want to make sure that this is set to something applicable. So as of right now, you can see I'm here on MME 32-bit. For some reason, that's the only thing that works with OBS. Don't ask. I don't know. And it works flawlessly, so I don't even question it. I've had people like, dude, why aren't you using ISO? If it works, I'm not going to mess with it. So, but anyway, you want to go ahead and switch your driver mode. Try something else, and then it will automatically like scan back through your drivers, and it will basically, hopefully fix your issue of it not recognizing your computer's speakers. Now, if you want to use your keyboard for a MIDI controller, I believe that is possible too. That would probably take a little bit more research, or someone in the chat might even know how to do that, because I actually have a MIDI keyboard. I know that it's possible. Just not exactly sure how you set it up that way. I'm almost positive that I've actually seen someone do that though. And it might be, if I'm not mistaken, I think you actually have to have a third-party app that then Cakewalk recognizes or something like that. There was some kind of a workaround, because I have seen somebody actually use their keyboard, like typing keyboard, as a MIDI control surface. So hopefully that answered your question, or at least got you a little bit closer to an answer. If not, let me know and I will be sure to get you an answer. We'll get you lined out. So if you want to find out where the VST folder is, Adam Grossman's still helping out. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Is it Grossman or Grossman? I'm not sure. Okay, so Crypto, he says it's his first time here. Yes, awesome. And I usually record in 44.1, 24, and in audio data, the render bit depth is 32. Is that normal? And what is that, by the way? Crypto, good question. So 44.1 represents your sample rates. So basically, at 44.1, that means every second your computer is taking a sample at every second your computer is taking a sample, but it's taking it 44,100 times in that second. And that's what your sample rate is. So literally, like, the higher the sample rate, the more information that it's getting every second. And then your bit depth is sort of like, in a digital realm, it's sort of like how many numbers, because usually all things are kind of built around binary codes. It's almost like how many numbers are going to be squeezed into that depth. Another good way to kind of look at this, and there's a crazy parallel between the audio world and photography. I also have a photography business on the side. And one thing that I always have seen is this parallel between audio and photography, and your bit depth on, like, say, your camera, for instance. So this camera has, I believe it's 24 megapixels. So that would be like my bit depth. And so a higher bit depth is going to give you more information, like it would here. A higher bit depth is going to give you more pixels. So in an audio world, a higher bit depth is going to give you more information. With that being said, records are made all day long on 16-bit. And in fact, the industry standard for CD quality is 44.1 16-bit. Now, as for it saying that the render bit depth is 32, that would actually be upsampling. So if it's still coming out fine and it sounds okay, there's nothing wrong with that. However, I always try to, at least for, I don't know, consistency's sake, if, say for instance, if you look up here on my screen, if my sample rate and my bit depth are 44.1 and 24, then I'm going to want to set my render bit depth to the same, just to make it sort of streamline across there. And that can be done right here. Let me zoom back out there. Whoop. Now I can't remember how to get there we go. Get the hang of this here in a minute. Okay, and that can be done right here. So under driver settings, you'll notice right here there's a section for bit depth, and then there's also a section for sampling rates. So this right here is where that can be changed. Now what you're saying is probably happening on the export side of things, and that's as simple as just changing your export settings. So if you go in here and I was to, of course I don't have any audio to export, let me real quickly drag something in here. See if I can find something. I'll just drag this in real quick. Okay, so I've got some acoustic guitar here. Let's say I was going to export that acoustic guitar. So the way that I do it is I actually go to File and Export and Audio. To me, I think it gives you more options, because if you just go up here to Export Audio, all it gives you is the options of what format you want to send it out in, unless you go to Advanced. And then it gives you the same menu that you get if you just went to Export Audio. It pops up the exact same menu. So here, now this is your rendering bit depth. This is where you're going to find that rendering bit depth. So this is what it's going to render out as. So as you can see, I've got mine set at 24 again. And essentially what that's going to do is, so it's not so much in an audio world as it is in a photography world, but essentially the same sort of glaring inconsistencies can happen in a picture world, photography world. If I had a 16-bit photo and then I exported it into 32-bit, it's going to essentially make it larger and it's going to pixelate. If it was a bigger photo, say it was a 4K photo, and I exported it as a 1280 by 720 thumbnail, then because it's shrinking it down, it's actually going to make it look better. But in the audio world, it's really kind of like a gray area. But the main inconsistency that you can get when you're exporting at different bit depths is sometimes you'll get like audio hiccups. That's, I guess, the best way to call it. But sometimes, like if you have a 24-bit project and you export it at a higher bit rate, sometimes you'll get like these little clicks and pops just randomly throughout. Sometimes you'll get silence just out of nowhere. However, if you render it down, usually you don't get that. But what I do notice is if I render it down a bit depth, it seems like there's a little bit of high end that's lost. That's really the only major difference there. So kind of a long explanation to what you just asked there, Crypto, but that's what we do around here. We over deliver and we drink coffee. All right. So presets just speed up everything. Yes, yes, yes. Tommy Torres says, ding, first time. Tommy, that's very machine dependent question. Maybe go to some forums where you can ask that and get more details. Okay. I think I answered it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty confident that I answered that though, in the best way possible. I think that's going to get you. He says, I had it working just fine a few days ago, and then I had trouble installing a VST. So did a reinstall. Now the input and output isn't working. Yeah, I would say almost 9 times out of 10, just do that device manager. What was it called? I'll go back up there again. Preferences, driver settings, playback and recording. Yeah. So just go in here and literally just reload a different driver mode. Even if you load one that you don't normally use, go back, like load one that you normally don't use, and then go back to the one you normally do use. And it really, 9 times out of 10, that fixes that problem. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it actually helps you to find other things that you were able to pull from you didn't even know about. I found on accident one day, by doing that, I found out that my computer has the ability to have what's called a stereo mix. So I can literally plug an input jack into the back of my computer and record what my computer is hearing. So that's pretty cool. I did that, and I found that by doing that, what I just showed you there. So, all right, let's see. Here's a link for Cakewalk shortcuts. Da-da-da-da. All right. Da-da-da-da. Everybody's congratulating Bongonzo for showing up. It's really good to have you, buddy. You've been on my mind a lot lately. I've been seeing your channel growing. So happy for you, man. Guys, if you haven't been over to see his channel, by the way, if you are a beat maker, you owe it to yourself to check out Bongonzo's channel. 16-year-old grinding, just doing it, out there doing it. Oh, James was trying to post a link and it won't let him. Okay. James, I'll tell you what, buddy, I'm going to go ahead and it should allow me to make you a moderator. There we go. Now, as a moderator, you should have the right to post a link now. So if you want to go ahead and repost that link, go for it. Okay. I appreciate the feedback for sure. I'll give it a shot. Thanks. Yeah, it was working before. So Bongonzo says, I have no problem with other drivers with OBS, but I do use a program called Voicemeeter to route audio. Okay. You know, and honestly, it might just be my setup because, yeah, I've got all kinds of... Someone is telling me to go to views. Oh, I bet that's why. Right there. Man, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. All right. So for the individual who asked about using their keyboard as a MIDI controller, there it is. Boom. Virtual controller. You can actually set your keyboard up as a virtual controller. Man, you guys rock. Okay, I think Creative Sauce has a vid on using the computer keyboard. Well, now I've got one too. All right, so also will work in OBS, but you need to ISO-Link Pro and you need to crack it legally with permission as the programmer is deceased. Really? Ugh, that's not cool. Okay. Unfortunately, he left DRM in the software, which can't be bypassed normally. Okay, so another question from Barish. I hope I'm saying your name right, man. Crypto, you're very welcome, by the way. He says, how to record vocal in Cakewalk without recording playback track. I want to say that when I record vocal in Cakewalk, the sound that is coming in my headphones was also getting recorded in my vocal track. Oh, okay, I got you. So there's a couple of different ways that you can combat this. For one is to get yourself some earbuds like this. Okay. Apple earbuds. They're not the greatest to sing with, though. I do understand that. So the other option is to actually get some closed-backed headphones. Some that I highly recommend are the blue Lola headphones. I've got a set here. They're very comfortable and they're very cushiony, which actually provides a little bit of sound. Cushiony, is that a word? It is now. It provides a lot of sound absorption for those frequencies that would try to escape from your headphones. Obvious option too is to actually turn it down when trying to record. And then to even take this a step farther, because a lot of people overlook this and they think, well, you can't do that. If you want to, you can literally, if it's a dynamic microphone, like say you're singing into a Shure SM7B, say you're singing into SM58, something handheld, a dynamic microphone that has a lot of rejection from the backside of it. You can literally play it through your speakers and be facing your speakers and still sing into it and literally do it just that way, and actually get, sometimes even I've had to do that here in the studio to get a better performance out of some people because they just can't sing in the headphones. And over time you start to kind of learn, like, why is this person not performing when I know that they can, and what's going on here? So you start to find out like little ways to get good performances. And one of those ways that I did was I said, okay, just take the headphones off. We're going to play it through the speakers, and we're going to turn it to a pretty good level where you can actually sing to it. You'll feel like you're in a live setting. I guarantee it'll work. And he was very distraught at first because he's like, well, dude, that's going to bleed into the recording. I said, just trust me. So at any rate, you still can't post links. I don't understand that. Maybe it's how I got it set up here. At any rate, if you want to, and you have a dynamic microphone, you can literally set it up to where it will pick up just a little bit of that bleed, but it will not be like what you're thinking. It's actually manageable. I'm going to try to go in here and see if I can enable links, because I know there's a way to do that. There's live chat mode. Maybe I'll have to go into my community settings. At any rate, I'm working on it, James. James has got a link burning that he's wanting to share with somebody. I've actually got it set to where it should actually allow links. I don't know. Okay, I've changed a few settings here. Try that again, James, and see if that works. If it doesn't work after that, it may just be a YouTube thing of them not allowing to share links right now or something. I don't know. So I hope that answered your question, Barish, about recording vocals and getting that bleed from the headphones. There's definitely ways around it. And another thing to make mention of regarding that is, if you go back and you listen to some of like the staple recordings, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, on and on and on, all those recordings that are still being played on the radio. Not that I'm saying like that's the best music in the world, but what I am saying is it's still being played on the radio, for good reason. It's good. It's recorded well. It was performed well, and it's still doing well. But if you go back and you listen to those really surgically, so to speak, like with a good set of headphones, you'll hear bleed all over the place. In fact, there's several of the Led Zeppelin albums back whenever I used to listen to Zeppelin a lot, where you can hear them laughing and partying in the background during those lull spaces. So you're gonna always battle bleed regardless. Just don't like over worry about it. Yes, you want to try to minimize it, cut down as much as you can, but your job is to get a good performance more than it is to get a super clean, pristine vocal that sounds like it was just nestled in a little bitty dead room by itself. So, okay. Let's see if I'm like way behind here. Okay. Joe Brown. Hey, good to have you, buddy. I think this is your first time here as well. I need to ring my little buzzer. Bzz, bzz. We gotta, or flashing lights or something for first timers. So Joe Brown, is it normal to hear excessive computer noise when cranking up a distortion plugin? Depending on what kind of plugin it is, especially if it is a plugin that is sort of like an amp simulation. Amp simulators are horrible for that because they're trying to simulate the sound of an amp. You crank up an amp, you get that same sound. So they say, hey, why don't we go ahead and include that in our plugin? That way it sounds like a real amp. That's one of those that definitely will do that. However, with that being said, most distortion plugins, if there's nothing running through it, you shouldn't be getting that sound at all. And sometimes if it's excessive, you're saying it's excessive computer noise, that makes me wonder if maybe, oh, I see. There was a question in the chat about Cakewalk shortcuts. You can copy and text and paste it in your browser. Okay. Gotcha. I'm actually getting ready to release a video within the next few days on Cakewalk shortcuts as well. So what I was going to say though is if you're recording straight into your computer's microphone jack, you're going to get a ton of excessive noise. Yes. And without a distortion plugin, because unless it's a high end recording computer, it's not typically going to have the right drivers, audio drivers, to actually be able to take in like high level dBs or professional signals. To be honest, they're great for gaming. They're great for microphones. Like if you're on a headset, and typically speaking, they're geared more towards that, so they're boosted so that people can be heard. But if you have an audio interface itself, and you're running through that audio interface into the computer, and you're still hearing that noise, then I would definitely look into maybe getting a different distortion plugin, because if there's no audio running through it, you're not supposed to be able to hear it. So, all right. Still can't post the links. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't have it set either to where I don't have it set to where it's they're being blocked. That's what I don't understand. Weird. Hmm. And I don't see anything in here where I can actually change it either from within here, because I've already got the settings to where supposedly it. Hmm. Okay. Well, sorry about that, man. I'm I'm usually like very very good about trying to encourage you guys to actually post links, and I know we've done it before, so I'm not sure what's changed. Anyway. Oh. Da, 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 da. I'm going to export the track and send it. I still need to mix and arrange it, but I'll Pirate Beats and Bon Gonzo's going back and forth about their music. I'm sure it's fire, whatever it is. Sometimes can noise gate get the bleed out? Yes. I use a noise gate. Actually, I'm using one right now. I have uh, here on my outboard gear. I've got the DBX 286S, which is an awesome mic preamp and processor, but it actually has a expander gate section, and an expander essentially is the same thing as a gate, except for it turns it down slowly, whereas a gate will just kind of chop it. You can use them interchangeably, but I prefer to use the expander option just because it's more cohesive. Doesn't quite sound so, because sometimes if you get a gate setting too high, I'm sure you've heard it before, you're just like, and yeah, it just totally ruins it. But if you got the settings just right, like for instance, like right now, if you were to turn this up really loud, you would hear my headphones, and you'd be like, yeah, yeah. But as soon as I stop talking, and then I hit the mic, you won't hear nothing, because essentially it's going to turn it all the way down to nothing, which is awesome, because when I do my podcast and stuff like that, saves a ton of time in editing. Which, by the way, I just held a poll on the channel not too long ago, and I asked who all is listening to the podcast, and several of you didn't even know we had a podcast. So if you didn't know that there was a podcast going on, I'm on episode, I'll be releasing soon, episode number 51. So there's a ton of stuff to go back there and listen to. And I've changed up the format over the years, but it's still typically the same. I mean, we talk about pretty much the same stuff that we talk on here, except for I usually go a little bit more in depth on some things. So let me see if I can bring up a link here real quick. That's not it. Okay, so this is, yeah, that'll work. All right. So for those of you who are able to, here is the link for the podcast if you've not checked that out. Now, that is a link to the Apple iTunes version. However, if you go to my website, homestudiosimplified.com, I also have a podcast tab there. You can listen straight from the website. You don't have to have iTunes at all. Just want to throw that out there. Pirate Beat says it is fire. Jabez Dynamo. Hey, what's up, buddy? I think I answered a question of yours earlier. Okay, so before you though was been. Okay, if I missed your question about shortcuts, I apologize. James was trying to get you a link. I apologize that he was not able to do that either. But if you were the one that asked the question about the shortcuts, just re-ask it because I've lost it. People are asking lots of questions so quick I can't keep on top of all of them. Along those same lines, if you want to ensure that your question will get answered, like guaranteed that it's going to get answered, use a 99-cent super chat or something like that, and it's going to pop it in there, and I'm going to see it like forever. Okay, so excessive PC noise from the pedal, maybe a ground loop. Oh, I think that was in response to the other. Okay. Do you think you'll ever invest in a Fishman Pro or something similar for guitar to MIDI? Yes. And the reason why I say that, I'm actually looking into the Ghost system right now, but good night. The Hexpander Ghost system is like $500. I thought it was like 150. I start researching and I'm like, yeah, that's a stinking cheap deal. 150 bucks, but that's just for the piezo pickups in the bridge. Then you got to buy the Hexpander. Then you got to buy this. And you got to reroute stuff in your guitar. And by the time you get done, you spent 500 bucks and you've ruined your guitar. So I'm looking into some things. Yes, I do want that ability just simply because I'm not a piano player, but I'm a guitar player. So if I could blend that over into the MIDI world, I might even get a jam stick and just try it out. I don't know. Maybe I'll reach out to the company and see if they'll send me one. Right. Ben Grauer. Hey, nice to have you here, buddy. I think this is your first time here as well. He says, I'm trying to get my DAW audio to play on OBS. I think I'm good with OBS, but believe there's a setting on my sound card. I'm using a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Any suggestions? Need a plugin? No, you do not need a plugin. I'm using a Focusrite 6i6 right now. And the way that I do this, my sort of workaround to get OBS to play friendly with my Focusrite. Now, the 2i2 I don't think has a separate headphone out. The 6i6 has two headphone outs, and that's what helps me because I actually have my headphone out. One of my headphone out, I'm using a stereo cable that's going into the line in on the back of the computer. And so that's sort of my workaround. And then I can control how loud my computer sounds are with the headphone knob adjustment. Kind of a Scottish way to work its way around things. I'm a cheapskate. I always try to find free ways to do things. I love free plugins. If you've listened to the podcast, you know that. I love free DAWs, which was not always free. Oh, I hit the button again. It was not always free. I paid $500 for it, and then it went free. I gotta quit hitting that button. There we go. So every time I hit that button, we go into this mode here. Whoa, hey, there's a nice little. Okay, I'll quit messing around now. Anyway, my suggestion would be if inside of OBS you have an audio options menu, and inside of your DAW you have an audio options menu. Try to get the DAW. Let me show you real quick. Let me minimize this. So on your master bus, you want to make sure that your master out is going to wherever OBS is picking it up at. So if you have OBS set up to listen from Realtek speakers, then you want this to go out to Realtek speakers. If you want OBS, if it's picking up from your Scarlett, then you want your out to be the Scarlett. There's different workarounds, but the way that I found to use it is just by simply using that headphone out into the line in on the back. And you can actually, if you don't have two headphone jacks, you can actually have a workaround from that just by getting a headphone splitter and then route one to your headphones and one to the back of the computer. Use the line in though. I found out the hard way. That red jack, no. That's a microphone jack. It's got boost on it and it just sounds like junk. You don't want to use it. So I think that will get you up and running. If it doesn't, let me know. Send me an email or something. I'll even Skype you and we'll get it up and running for you. Especially if you're going to be another individual that's going to be online and helping to teach. That would be awesome. Great live show. Really enjoying it. Well, thank you, P-Man. It's nice to have you. I think this is the first time I've seen you here too. Nice to have you, buddy. And Jabez Dynamo says, my song sounds different inside the DAW and sounds boop after exporting. Looks like the lows are distorting. Can you find me a solution? So if your lows are distorting after you've exported, there could be a couple of different things happening. Let's hop over to the desktop again. I'm going to show you a couple of different things to look for. So one of the first things you want to look for, yet again, going back into our export settings, is you want to make sure that your bit depth matches your recording bit depth, or that you're not trying to go higher, you're going lower. And I always leave dithering off. There's a lot of people that use it. I understand there's all kinds of white papers that have been wrote on this and stuff like that. I don't use dithering. I just don't do it. But the other thing is actually found in this menu item right here in this fast bounce. Now, every once in a while, Cakewalk has this little hiccup and I don't know where it comes from or why it happens. It's digital stuff, so who knows? But sometimes if you take off the fast bounce and you bounce it out that way, it'll take care of some of that. However, what it sounds like to me is if you have the low end is distorting, it almost sounds like to me that you have something clipping. Like you've got either a bus is clipping, your master bus is clipping, a fader is too high somewhere. And the reason why you may not be hearing it in your DAW is because maybe there's like something is bypassed, but then when you go to export it, you have all of this here selected and now it's saying, yeah, I want to read it even though it might be bypassed. So those are some areas you could pick up on. Another thing is if it's bass heavy, bass is just intrinsically by nature, bass is just a beast and it will almost always cause distortion and clipping if you don't tame it. And the way to tame it is to use high pass filters everywhere. I use them like crazy. In fact, James, whenever we were working through his song, I was explaining to him how I put on the high pass filters, and I kind of see his eyes kind of like lit up a little bit. And that's usually the general reaction that I get when I high pass something like a bass guitar all the way up to 50 hertz. And everybody's going, whoa, 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 what are you doing? But literally, you can high pass farther than what you think. And you can do it by simply utilizing some EQ techniques. But this little button right here, that's going to roll off a ton of that low end and save you a whole lot of headaches. Now, depending on the instrument, depending on the performance, depending on what it is, you're not going to want to take off too much, obviously, especially from a bass guitar. You're not going to want to take too much off from a vocal. With a vocal, I usually start at like 100 and I work my way up, or I'll start at 80 and work my way up if it's a male. But high pass everything. It will clean up your mix. It will take all that muddiness out. And especially like a lot of people have said too, like, well, what about an 808? An 808 is like a bass heavy. You don't want to high pass an 808. Absolutely you do. And the reason I say that is because anything below 20 hertz, the human hearing, it's not even going to pick up on it, for one. Anything above or below 30 hertz, even some people can't hear. So why not go ahead and take it out and just save yourself the headaches? Now with an 808, you might go ahead and leave that 30 hertz and maybe make it like a smooth roll off like this. However, with that even being said, I've taken 808s all the way up to 50, even 60 before, and then boosted right after that cut, and you get it all back without the rumble. So that's just a few options to look at as to why it might sound bloop after exporting. So he says he uses Cakewalk. Awesome. Congratulations. Hey, thanks for subscribing. Nazario. I think that's how you say your name. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I have lost track of where I'm at in all this. Mark George says he's loving the podcast. Awesome. Okay. All right. I found out where I'm at. Cindy Lee. Hey, Cindy, if I'm not mistaken, it was your birthday. The last stream that we did. I might be wrong. You might be a different Cindy, but I don't think I am. I think you're the Cindy that I think you are. And if that's the case, happy birthday. At any rate, how do you identify phase issues? That's a really good question. And it's one that we covered last week on the live EQ training. Go back and check that out. I'll still cover it here, but you want to go and check that out. It's more in depth. So essentially, phase issues, they have a sound to them a lot of times. A phase issue will sound like someone who's maybe talking like this. That's sort of like that's like a phase issue. 9 times out of 10, if you flip the polarity on one track, it's usually like a 2 microphone setup is usually where the polarity needs flipped anyway. And like say there was a stereo mic that was recording a piano, and you plug it in, you go to listen to it, and it sounds like it's being played in a hallway, very small hallway. But when it was recorded, it was being recorded in a large cathedral. And you're like, what in the world happened? It sounds thin. It sounds nasally. It sounds honky. There's so many descriptive terms. So use your ears is one way. Now, to visually identify a phase, there's plugins that can help you with this. I'll show you real quickly, just here on the screen, one of the plugins that I use. Now, I am switching over computers, so I hope it's still here. It might be on the other computer. That one will do it, but it's not the one I'm thinking of. Where is it? Yeah, I think it's on the other computer, unfortunately. I'm trying to think of another one that. So essentially, there's a free plugin called Span. I'll just, maybe I can actually scan for my VSTs and see if it'll pick it back up. I'll actually practice what I preach, and I'll go in here and scan for those VSTs. And while that's doing that, hopefully it doesn't crash my computer, because there's so much going on. But anyway, Span is a good plugin that will actually allow you to see the correlation. And all that basically it's a meter that has a 0 in the middle, which means it's perfectly in phase. And then it has a +1, which means it's kind of leaning towards the overly phased. And then it's leaning into the 0 range. That means it's leaning into the under the phase issues, I guess, phase correlation. That's what it's all there for. So if it's in the 0, it's bad. If it's in the +1 area, it's not bad, but it's not as good as staying right there in that 0. But basically, those plugins allow you to actually see the correlation between 2 different audio tracks and whether or not they're in phase. Now, apart from that, another visual aspect of that, which, well, now I can't even show you because my computer's locked up trying to scan for all these VSTs. The struggle is real, folks. That's why you don't bog your computer down with a bunch of plugins you don't use. At any rate, the other way to do that is to actually zoom in on the waveforms themselves. And one way that what does it want me to do that for? Okay, that was weird. I think I'm going to cancel that, and I'll just show you, because that's weird. It's like there's too much going on with the computer. Okay, so let me just show you off in this little section right here. I'm just going to draw it on the screen. We're going to get real like Sesame Street right here, okay? So say there is the waveforms that you're looking at, okay? And you've got one mono track of a guitar recorded with one microphone. You've got another mono track of a guitar recorded with a second microphone. Maybe they're both on the same cab. But when you play it back, there's like this weird honky noise. The best thing you can do is put the tracks on top of each other. Put them like, stack them. And then whenever you get them on top of each other, zoom in as far as you possibly can and look at the waveforms. And the way that you can do that, which that's coming out in that video that I'm getting ready to release too, about shortcuts and whatnot. But you can literally click and drag here to make the waveform bigger. Usually I'll make it a little bit bigger so that I can see it easier. And then you just set your transport bar somewhere that seems useful. Hold the control button and then move the alt button, and then move your scroll wheel on your mouse in until you can see the actual waveforms here. And what you're looking for is these valleys and these mountains. So if there was a track directly beneath this, which I can go ahead and I'll just duplicate it and pardon me. How rude. Okay. Okay, so if I was to zoom in on this right now, these are both in phase because this valley is going down when this valley is going down. And this valley is going up when this valley is going up. So these are perfectly in phase. Now, obviously they're going to be because it's an exact duplicate of the track above it. So, which is not a good thing, by the way. That's not going to create stereo width. We've already been through that too. Don't duplicate tracks, double track to get your stereo. Anyway, before I get off on that tangent. So, however, if it looked like this, now this would be out of phase. And the way that I can see that is because if I was to zoom in here, now all of a sudden, this valley is going against this mountain. So they're fighting one another. So this guy right here is beating up this guy, and that's called phase cancellation. And that is the most horrible arrow I've ever seen in my life. But that's phase cancellation. So the best way to address phase problems is to train your ear to hear them first off, and then visually go reach for the plugins if you still think there might be issues. However, this is another area. If they're different instruments, if like it's a guitar and a bass, don't worry so much about phase. If it's a guitar and a piano, don't worry so much about phase. The main thing that you're worried about with the phase is, like, for instance, drum overhead mics. You've got two mics recording the same source, and it's supposed to sound the same. So that's where phase issues are going to come in. Now, there's ways to combat that on the front end, doing the 3-to-1 rule, putting that first mic here and the other mic 3 feet away from it. That's going to create better phase relationships. But honestly, use your ears. And then if you're still not comfortable with where your ears are setting, if you've got two mics on one source, immediately you want to go to that source, whatever tracks that is. Like, for example, we're still using this guitar cab with two mics on it. You automatically need to go to those tracks because there's two mics on the one source. There could be phase issues. So you automatically want to go to those. Now, within a mix itself, a lot of times bass issues will arise because of phase. And so, especially with beat making, we actually seen that in Bon Gonzo's beat, where there were some things that I flipped the polarity and I flipped the phase on some things, and it literally like made things punchier, tighter, and cleared some things up. With bass signals, you would definitely want to look at those a little bit closer if there's a lot of bass heavy things in a mix, because bass waves by themselves are huge. I'm zooming in on the wrong screen now. So if I was to let's say like a violin would have a wave that looks something like this. Okay. And a bass wave would look more like this. So you have more margin of error for things to get out of phase. So definitely want to keep that in mind too. I feel like I'm in school right now. Okay. So hopefully that answered your question, Cindy. Pirate Beat says, I like to gate my reverb. Yes, that's an awesome little trick. Cakewalk does that too. James just dragged it. Output, sound card, OBS, computer line in. Got it. That's it. Hey, Michael, nice to have you here, by the way. Is it Michael or Michael? I don't know. At any rate, nice to have you here, buddy. I think it's your first time too. I got to get something for first timers. Nicholas Sharma, another first timer. Nice. Hello, since Cakewalk went free, it is an attraction to noobs as well. Like, let's download and see how this cake tastes. I like that. Can you suggest me a solution for my song gets distorted after exporting the project inside the DAW? It sounds perfect. Yeah, we talked about that a minute ago. If you didn't catch that, I apologize. You can go back and rewatch these, by the way, and you can also go back and go through the chat to find out where you dropped the question. Sometimes it helps you to get the answer quicker. It's kind of impossible for me to timestamp the live streams because there's so much that goes on, but I've been trying here recently to timestamp my videos for people. And since it's free, so there are chances that computers are not up to mark. Yes, like the i5, Obly, and no graphics, and so on. So please, tips for noobs for system configuration. Absolutely. So along those same lines, this is, I've actually just released a video not too long ago on that about optimization of your audio folders. And I went in depth a little bit more on that as well. And I also just did a in-depth tutorial on installation issues that actually has a lot of that in there too. One thing that I see a lot of people doing is immediately they get Cakewalk, they download it, and they run it for the first time and nothing works right. And so I've got 2 different videos now on my channel just for addressing those issues. And the first thing that you have to keep in mind is make sure that Windows is up to date. As much as I hate doing Windows updates, they've got to play well together. Secondly, make sure that your drivers are up to date. All of your audio drivers, every driver in your computer needs to be up to date. There is a link in the description of this video to a tool that I use that's called the driver update tool, but it has a ton of things on there. It's called Glary Utilities. I have a link in the description. Go and check that out. The free version is amazing. It's got duplicate file finders. It's got startup help to get your computer to start up faster. It allows you to, it's got something called an absolute uninstaller. There's some programs that just don't want to uninstall at all. They literally just leech onto your computer and they're like, no, I'm not leaving. Google Chrome is one of them. This thing will actually uninstall those and get rid of them. So go and check that out. However, I am going to be releasing here within the next week or 2 because I've just got the new computer. I'm going to be setting it up and optimizing it for running Cakewalk or for running audio. And so I'm going to do a video on that about how to optimize your computer to get it up and ready for running audio. So just subscribe, hit the bell icon so that whenever I upload that, you'll know. But as of now, there are 2 videos on my channel already. One of them is called Installation and Troubleshooting. And then the other one is Cakewalk Install Fix. So go and check those out. Cindy, phase usually only happens if you send 2 mics at the same time where you're using more than 1 mic. Awesome. Zave's jumping in there. He's a trooper. Always helping out. Ben, Michael, what is the setting? I'm using a PC. Michael, what is that setting? I'm not sure. They're talking back and forth and I'm not even using this older system that I'm not. Yeah, I can't see my chat as quick as I was. So hopefully when I get the new computer up and going, it'll be a little bit more streamlined, guys. If you look in the waveform and your peaks or different tracks are lining up the same, yep. Pirate Beats, answer. Oh no, I've just seen this in a lot of mixing videos and I was wondering what it is. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, hopefully I explained it for you, Cindy. If I need to go a little bit more in depth on that, then let me know. I can definitely break that down a little bit more. Love the piano roll in Cakewalk, especially when you're bad at music theory. Yeah. Kudos to that. Yes, definitely. Ben Grauer, headphone out. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat in the microphone. I need to quit doing that. Robert, are you using... Whoa, I just lost like all of my comments. Jumped. Like crazy. Where was that? Oh, okay. Robert, are you using OBS for your vid podcast? Yes. So right now I'm using OBS, if that's what you mean. Yes. For my video podcast, I usually record with my Canon camera, and then I usually just record. I've been trying to record the podcast at the same time as I do the video, so I have two different forms of content there around that. But I generally don't do that on OBS. I just do it on the Canon camera. Okay, so Ryan helping out the lady. Nice. All right, I got that throat cleared finally. I've already moved into tea and okay, I'm a different Cindy. My birthday is in October. Oh, okay. Well, sorry, I thought you was another. Okay. Steve Berger. Hey, another first timer, I believe. Thanks for helping us. It would be great if you could run through all the preferences settings in a future video. I'm not sure what half of them even mean or what they're for. Thank you. That's a really, really good idea. I do have a video similar to that on my Cakewalk tutorials. I'm losing my voice on my Cakewalk tutorials playlist. However, I might be able to do something more in-depth on that. So in-depth preferences tutorial. All right. I got it wrote down, so it definitely might be in the pipeline soon. Also, thank you for the mixing videos. I learned to high pass everything from you, and now my mixers are sounding a lot less muddy. Well, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. That's what it's all about. Pirate Beat says, oh, yeah. It is good to see Bon Gonzo here. What volume should I be mixing at? That's a very good question, Bon Gonzo. Okay, so I've covered this from time to time as well. The volume that you're mixing at is going to detrimentally affect the decision-making process. And so sort of the industry belief is, you know, everybody mixes at loud volumes because they've got huge studios and loudspeakers and everybody's in there just rocking out. When in all actuality, the real case scenarios are behind that are, no, they don't. Chris Lord Algae is one who actually, a long time ago, he covered that in one of his early videos where he talked about 85 decibels. So 85 dBs and above starts ruining your mix because everything starts smearing together, and especially in smaller rooms. So you really, the way that I like to think of it is, I want to be able to, like, if there's someone sitting next to me, I want to be able to have a normal conversation with that person sitting next to me at the same time that I'm able to hear the mix. That's the way that I kind of look into it. Something's going on here with Cakewalk. I'm trying to minimize that, and it's not wanting to. Okay. Bon Gonzo read about 70 or 80, no louder, but let's get the proper answer from Robert. So yeah, about 85 dBs is about as high as I would ever go. Actually, to be perfectly honest, the lower that you mix, sometimes the better. Because what I've noticed is if you turn it down to a low, like almost like I'm talking right now, just a normal talking tone, what you'll hear is it's easier to balance your vocals with the rest of the mix. Now, if you're not working with vocals, you know, that's a totally different situation there. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but for the most part, you can get your vocals to set in a mix a lot easier if you have it down at that lower level. All right. Micah Eel. I'm not sure where that came from. Oh, okay. Micah Eel. Gotcha. Oh, okay. I was like, what's he saying? And I realized you're trying to help me figure out how to say your name. Nice. Micah Eel. Right on, Keith. Ears are needed. Ears are kind of important, says Bongonzo. They hold your shades in place. No ears, you can't look cool. That is true. That is true. Thanks. I will check your video. Actually, you know what? Let me go a little bit step. I like to over deliver here on the channel. I'm going to try my best to actually find you that link. While we're doing this live stream, I'll go ahead and answer some more questions, but at some point in time, I'm going to drop that in the description here or in the chat section so that you can find that. And what I'll do is I'll just give you the playlist, and then that'll just take you straight to that playlist. You can binge on it. There's tons of stuff there. In fact, there's so much there that I literally have had a couple of people here recently reached out and asked me if I worked for Cakewalk. And I was like, no. And I was like, yeah, but you've got all these tutorials going on. So, yeah, here it is. I'm going to go ahead and try to share this playlist. Okay. Computer is being slow. I'll be so glad when I move over to my upgraded computer. Okay, so you're Nikhil. I'm going to go ahead and that link's being posted right now to the playlist that has a ton of stuff in there. And just to go ahead and make everything as clear as mud too, I had an individual reach out and they were kind of upset because they bought the Cakewalk tutorial course. And then he got a hold of me. He was like, dude, I bought your Cakewalk tutorial course and all of it's available for free on your YouTube channel. And I need to include that in the copy somewhere that it is. And which I told him, I said, well, everybody that's on the channel pretty much knows all of that's on there. But that's just a small way to support the channel and it's super affordable. It's $29 now. And so some people wanted the ability to watch those offline or maybe when their internet connection was down. So I created that for that purpose. And for individuals who maybe don't want to subscribe and watch my channel, they can just download it and go. So he got back a hold of me and he was like, you know what? I apologize. I shouldn't have got out of kilter about it. You're right. And I've actually bought a couple of your other courses and the stuff is awesome. So I'm just don't worry about the refund. So, but I do want to make that known that if you guys are interested in buying the, Cakewalk by BandLab tutorials, all of that is available here on the channel for free. So don't feel like that you have to buy them. But if you want to support the channel and you want to be able to watch them on your own time without an internet connection, they're also there. It's $29. You get an instant download. It's yours forever. So, and also anytime I upload a new video into that playlist, if you're a subscriber, you're going to automatically know about that too. So, all right. We're moving on now. ISO drivers are much better, says Keith. In my personal opinion, yes. Yes, they are. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Brad. Appreciate that, buddy. Bongonzo says, I don't record audio. Is an audio interface still helpful? Absolutely. And the reason I say that it is because it's going to provide you a much more rock solid alternative to the computer drivers, because by nature, most of the computers, when you buy them off the shelves or you get them off even, audio, sorry, something keeps popping up here. By nature, when you buy a computer off the shelves, the stock audio interface that's in the computer, that audio PCI card or whatever it's called, it's not the greatest. And it will not provide you as good of a stability as an actual dedicated control surface or audio interface will. So yes, definitely use one. Hey Rick, how's it going? Man, we got another first timer. You guys are all over it today. That's awesome. My first time aboard, but I go back to the DOS app. Ooh, wow, you've been around Cakewalk for a while. Back when it was 12 tone even. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's way back there. Okay. Another phase solution. Another phase solution is to use vocal sync to align your tracks. Yes, that's actually a viable option. I actually had an email from an individual who was having phase problems with a couple of guitars, and he used that, and after I suggested it, and it worked. So I will definitely concur that that's a good method. Steve says thanks. Awesome. Brad, thanks for doing this. What audio device? What audio device do you have? I can't update the drivers on my old Mu2 828 MKT. So I'm using currently the Focusrite 6i6, and I'm using in concert with that the M Audio Mbox 2 Mini by DigiDesign. And I'm talking, this thing is like ancient. But it gives me an extra DI source. It gives me an extra mic input, and it also gives me extra routing within my system to actually be able to run my OBS a little bit differently too. So I actually was going to sell it, but I kept it just for the sake of OBS, because I have my microphone plugged into my inbox, and then that is going into the back of the computer. And then my audio sounds coming out of Cakewalk run through the Scarlett. And then that way I can separate the two. So that way I can, if I'm talking while the music is playing, it's not like overlapping, if I didn't want to do it that way. However, that's what I'm using right now. However, I do plan on updating, at least to get probably some more inputs, hopefully. I'm planning on kind of expanding here within the next year or two, and I'm hopefully looking at, I've got a couple of artists lined up. One of them actually has a 3-piece ensemble. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to record all 3 of them at the same time, which I can do that now, but I think it'd be great to go through one, maybe Focusrite 18i8 or something. I don't know. I'd like to get a rack unit. That would be pretty. So Pirate Beats wants to know, how much are your mixing services? Okay. Well, I guarantee you, Pirate Beats, they are the most reasonable that you're going to find online. And yet again, I get people, it's like, dude, you're shooting yourself in the foot. But if all I'm doing is mixing a song, I charge $50. And that comes with, obviously the mix, but then it also comes with 3, like right off the bat, it comes with 3 revisions. And then after those 3 revisions, we usually will go from there. If it's a case where the issue is on the artist's end, then usually I'll charge like just a little bit of extra for each revision. At that point, I've already got it mixed. At that point, it already, it's, the hard work is done, so I don't charge much for an extra revision. However, $50 right out of the gate. And I usually, with most cases, I just say, it's good whenever you say it's good. I don't like the whole revisions, and I don't like charging by the hour. Some people have told me I'm losing money by not charging by the hour. However, I feel like if I'm being charged by the hour and you don't know how long I've been working on it, that just doesn't seem like a good business model. So I think it's just best. It's more honest. upfront, transparent. If I just say $50 right out of the gate for a song. So what I normally do is I'll do $50 for a song per song. Then anything over like 5 songs, I take I shave 10 to $20 off of each song. So you get a price cut after 5 songs. So if you mix like a whole album, 12 piece album, you're going to get each one of those songs mixed. Instead of $50 a piece, you're going to get each one mixed for like 40 or $30. And if I really like the stuff, I usually will try to work with individuals and cut deals. So mixing services are $50 right out of the gate. If I do mixing and instrumentation, like add instruments for you, or I hire someone to come in and play a bass guitar or something like that, then I charge $70. If I do mixing, recording, and mastering, I charge $100. So very, very cheap. I know. Affordable, probably the better word, not cheap. All right, so yeah, definitely look into Focusrite. Not only are they affordable, but man, their customer service is like out of this world. They are so cool. I've gotten a hold of them, and literally like overnight, they've emailed me and been like, hey, here's a link, go update your drivers. They're awesome. So is that available on the HSS site? I've got something on there about my mixing services, but I don't really have prices. I guess I probably need to do that. And I probably need to create a section too for mixing services. That would make sense, Robert. Why don't you do that? I guess it's because I don't really like hunt people down to mix stuff. Most people just kind of know my rates and then they come to me. So 1 second. Woo. Okay, Paul Lisi. I think I've seen you on here before, but I'm not for sure. Says, hi, I record a lot of quiet vocals and instruments. Do you have a recommendation for background noise removal? I keep the environment as quiet as possible. Yes. As James has already stated, there is a gate in Cakewalk that is free. There's also an expander in Cakewalk that is free, and you'll find that on the VX64 vocal strip. I'll go over to the desktop right now and show you that real quick. If I go in here and I go to vocals, VX64 vocal strip, in this section right here, compand, you've got an expander and compression. By setting this expansion to a good setting here, it will essentially turn everything down after someone is done talking or singing. It's great for podcasts, spoken word, things like that. It's great for stuff like we're doing right here. But essentially you can set that to where if there is no sound, it automatically turns things down. And that's what an expander does. Another great resource is, believe it or not, Audacity. It's a free DAW as well. It's not quite as robust. Well, it's not anywhere close as being robust as Cakewalk is. This is what it looks like. But it actually has an effect in here called noise reduction. And you'll see that right here. You can click on this. So the way that you use this, actually, I'll just show you real quick. I think I should be able to. I might even be able to just drag that right into here. Oh, look at that. I can drag stuff from Cakewalk into Audacity. That's the first time I've ever done that. That's crazy. Okay, so like say you got a section where nothing is going on. That's a good section to start at, especially if you're going to be looking at noise reduction. So like say this section right here, I know that there's going to be background noise there. So I could simply select that section only. And the longer the section, the better, but sometimes you got to work with what you got. That's why usually if I'm going to be using this, I'll usually record something 5 to 10 seconds with nothing going on, and then I start the performance. But essentially you go down here to noise reduction, and then you click on Get Noise Profile. So now you've got a noise profile of that noise, whatever it was. And then you click on the entire waveform itself, go back to the effect and go to repeat noise reduction. Sorry. Now it'll say it's applying the noise reduction. Now, usually the default settings are pretty good for where they're at. You don't want to overdo it because it will sound crazy. But the cool thing about this is that it doesn't just remove that section of noise. It takes that noise profile and it removes. Guys, I'm getting like tongue tied here. It removes that noise that it's just taken from that profile from the entire recording. Super, super helpful, especially if you're recording like a guitar amp and you get that amp noise. I'll stick the mics on there and I'll let it record about 10 to 20 seconds of just the amp noise. And then I'll say, all right, let's begin. Then we'll record the performance. I'll go back and get a snippet of that, take that amp noise completely out of there. Little pro tip there. Steve Berger says, how would I send you the tracks if I wanted you to mix a song? All right, so if you're going to send tracks for mixing, I would prefer that they were sent in stem files. What I mean by that is, we'll go back to the desktop. Oh, we're already on the desktop. I keep forgetting where I'm at. So if we were on desktop, you go to export audio, and you'll see here there's an option under the bounce settings to go to tracks. So you'd set it to tracks, and then you would export as tracks. And what that would do is it would export all of those as individual audio files. And then you just simply put those in a file folder and upload them maybe to like Google Drive. It's free if you have a Google account, and it's like, there's a ton of space on there for free. It's definitely a good resource. And then just upload them there, send me the link, I'll download, and we'll go from there. And I think it's time. Just by golly. I'm going to try to get it to work here eventually. Oh, yeah, it's starting to come up now. There we go. So while I'm waiting on that to load, I will try to answer Yeah, so simply just upload your stems into a file, preferably 24-bit, 44.1. If they have to go down to 16-bit, that's fine too. No problem there. Is the t-shirt a subconscious nod toward Black Lives Matter? So whenever I made that shirt, the whole Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, everything matters was going on. So I made it for the audio community. Yes, I made it for the audio community because all dynamics matter. Don't crush your tracks, guys. If you want an acoustic guitar to sound good, let it have dynamics. Let it sound good. Okay. VX64. I didn't know that's what an expander does. Thank you. Awesome. Which software? It can. Okay, Rick, on your question here, does Audacity noise reduce noise destructively? It can. Like I said, do not overdo it. Use it usually in the default setting is fine. You don't want to go anything over that. But for the most part, like if you go through it once and it still doesn't take it out as enough, just use the same default setting and redo the same noise removal. But really, it does a great job. For the most part, you can't even hear that it has done anything other than it removing that noise. Tess even. Tess it does, Rick. Okay. I know just what you... Rick and Keith going at it there. Tess or no? Come on. Make a Fruit Loops. Make a Fruit Loops Studio tutorial. I'm sorry, I wish I could, but I do not own Fruity Loops. You guys are nuttier than squirrel poop. Okay. In the Mix. Yes. They do great tutorials on that. I think, you know what, guys? I think I'm officially caught up on the questions too. Whew, I didn't think I was ever going to get through those. That's a good problem to have, though. Okay, now we have the wheel ready to go. Let's spin the wheel of office. All right. You know what? The wheel is just going to have to wait until the computer says it's okay. Cause right now it's not having a good time. For some reason, it's still saying that Cakewalk is open. Oh, now I hear it. What's going on? We broke it. Ground control to Major Tom. Oh, now I hear it. Now I hear it. Okay. We're going to. All right. Let's go back to the wheel again. Here we go. Okay, so it landed on a favorite, but it's not the same if you don't actually get to see it happen. And I just realized like you guys could hear none of that I just said. That's great. Anyway, the wheel has officially like locked down the computer. The wheel is revolting. It's coming, it's derailed. So we will have to come back to the wheel, evidently. Whew. Good night. I had no idea that the wheel was going to cause that much problems today. And this is why I know it's time. Rick, that's craziness. Oh, man. All right. I think the computer's finally starting to settle down. We've got... Let's try it again here. All right. Just bear with me, guys. I really want to get this wheel to spin. Here we go. Come on, baby. Oh, wow. It is not happening. Yeah. Yeah, it is not even happening. Wow, the wheel has officially broken the stream. All right, well, back to good old-fashioned charades. Eventually, hopefully, like with the next live stream that's coming up, we will definitely get that on a shirt. We will definitely be... No, it doesn't. My PC is about ready to... It's on its last leg. I've put this thing through the mill. I've kept it up and running in good standing though for nearly, I would say close to 7 years now. So I'm pretty happy with it. It seems to be doing pretty good. So yeah, there's so much going on this OBS right now. Micah. There's so much going on in this thing that it's like it's barely got room to breathe right now. I think I looked, there's nine browsers that's being used right now. Yeah. Everybody dance now to the groovy wheel music. The static of awesome. Can I record a digital piano's audio and MIDI at the same time? Yes, you can. That's actually going to be in the next video that I'll be releasing in the next few days is actually going to cover just that. Stick around for that. Actually, no, that's the one that I just released. I'm getting them all mixed up. So I just released one on patch points and auxiliary tracks. Go and check that out. That's going to show you exactly how to do that. You can route that up to where you can record multiple things at the same time. So you'll definitely want to go and check that out. Yeah, and that's another option too. Definitely separate tracks. So along these same lines, guys, as we're kind of talking about this, I do have a little bit of a sad announcement to make, and that is that this next weekend is the weekend that I will be going back to work. So the the live streams will not take place every Saturday as they have been. However, I do still want to create some kind of we got to do something to make this happen. So with that being said, I want to try to do it on Saturdays, and maybe on the next week do it on, I don't know, Thursday would probably make sense. The way my schedule works, unfortunately, it's a rotating 12-hour shift. So it would be you work 2, you're off 2, you work 3, you're off 2, you work 2, you're off 3. So it's really hard to pick like a definitive day and say we're going to do it every day at this time, at this day, like I have been doing. Which here on quarantine, on lockdown, it's been easy to do this and say every single Saturday we're going to be doing this. Now, if I get to a point in between there where somebody lovingly reaches out and says, I'm going to support you on Patreon with $1,000 a month, we'll do these every stinking day for all I care. That doesn't mean that they're over. It just means that they won't be every Saturday. What it does mean is that it's going to be a rotating schedule. So one week it's going to be on a Saturday, and the next week it might be on a Thursday. So once we get into a routine and a schedule can be kind of like built out, I'll try to actually include that somewhere on the website or something like that, so the upcoming shows can be seen, and then you guys can keep in contact and know when they're going to happen. But it is sad because I've looked forward to these every single Saturday, just being able to hop on here and talk to you guys and bounce ideas off of each other, discuss just anything and everything. It's been super fun doing that and having that set day to do that. So they're not going away. So just know that there's no way I could just do away with them. They're too much fun. So with that being said, next Saturday there will not be a Sound Advice Saturday or anything closely to that. However, I'll still be releasing content like I always do. And we are still going to have live streams. It's just going to have to be, oh yeah, it is your first time here, ABZ. Which, by the way, there's a playlist. You can go back and check out all the previous live streams, ABZ. We have fun on here. And that's why this is a sad time right now, because I've got to make this announcement. But for those of you that are sticking through it, just know that we're still going to do live streams, and we are still going to have content releasing usually every 2 days, at least once a week. I do know that. But as of right now, the Sound Advice Saturdays have been cut back to once a month or twice a month. And then we'll have other live streams in between there. So I hope you have, Mark. That's the whole intention of this. And I really was hoping, I'll just be completely transparent with you guys. I was really hoping that during this quarantine, I could really get enough of the word out that I could actually offset the cost of needing to even go back to work. I thought, well, if I can get the word out enough and I can get enough people on board and, get everybody excited, like I'm excited about this, maybe it could get to a point where I could just, actually take off work longer just to do this. But, pipe dreams. I guess that's why everybody keeps telling me I should charge for things. But I just don't want to do that. It just seems wrong to me to do that. So at any rate, with all that being said, let's go ahead and try to, one more time, we're going to try to spin the wheel. Come on, baby. Spin the wheel. As soon as I hit the button, it says it's overloading. This is crazy. All right. Well, we got a couple more questions I'm going to try to hit real quick before we go ahead and close this stream down. It doesn't look like, unfortunately, we're going to get the Wheel of Awesomeness to spin today. Just simply because it's bogged. The whole thing's bogged down. However, I do want to answer these other questions before we go. Essentially, what I can see the questions are being asked are about the recording several tracks at once. So if you go to the video that I just released, which is called Aux Tracks versus Patch Points, it should be in my video feed as just released. Go there and check that out. It's going to show you exactly how to do that. There's actually several different tips there on how to do that and how to use auxiliary inputs and patch points to record several different things at once. You can even use them to record your metronome track. So that's super cool. If you wanted to send your metronome track off to a drummer, or you wanted to, there's just so many different routing options there that make it super cool. So, all right. Well, with that being said, even the wheel is sad. I know, right? Palisi says, really did just dance right now. Okay. I'm gonna try to find, there might be a workaround here, guys. I might have just found a workaround for the wheel. It just wouldn't be a typical stream if we didn't spin the wheel. You guys know this. We do it every single stream. I just want to make it happen. Okay, so go here. All right, we're going back. I'm going to try it again. Come on, Wheel of Awesomeness. Come on. Spin for us, wheel. We're not ending the live streams, wheel. We're just postponing them. They will just not be as frequent. Just spin for us, wheel. It seems like it has moved, but it's not moving. That's weird. Oh, for the love of Pete. Well, you know what? The next live stream that we have, we might just spend the entire stream spinning the wheel. For crying out loud. This is just ridiculous. You've let me down, wheel. You have let me down. You've not just let me down. You've let the people down, wheel. What are you doing just sitting there not spinning? When you know you want to spin. Oh, it did spin. See? It's trying to spin. For the love of Pete. It's just not making the noise, maybe. Normally it spins a little more fluid than that. Wow, okay. So from what I can see, it's landed on trivia. Going back to the wheel because you're going to stink and spin for me, wheel. We're going to close it out with the wheel not spinning. Okay, guys, that's how we're going to close this one out. And then when I get off here, I'm going to beat the wheel up and tell it better start working right. No, but honestly, thank you guys so much for hopping on the stream today and just for all of the awesomeness that you guys bring. This channel exists to simplify the complexities of the home studio and to help you make professional sounding music in a less than professional space. Everyone, I really want to tell you that with me going back to work, it's getting real, and I'm getting ready to go into what I feel like will be a minefield. Keep me in your prayers, as I have and will continue to keep all of you in my prayers. I don't know what I'm walking into. At least I work in a medical, or not a medical, but a pharmaceutical facility. So it's going to be cleaner than other places. But at the same right, you know, there's the risks involved. I really don't want to get sick and die. I'm not scared to die. I'm ready to go. But at the same time, I don't like being sick. So on that note, though, I want to let each and every one of you know that I have been praying for you and will continue to pray for you guys, for you and your families. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and make sure that you're doing your part as well. Just real quickly before I go, Zave has made a suggestion that we should have a Facebook page. In fact, there already is one. If you did not know about it, now you do. So if you go over to the Facebook page, Home Studio Simplified, facebook.com/Home Studio Simplified. That is the Facebook page that's connected to this channel and everything else. Everything that I pretty much do on here is posted there. And there also is a private group there, and it's called the HSS Collab group. You can join that, and that will be sort of like a private community where you guys can talk 24/7. You can ask questions there as well, too. I'm going to try to pull up real quickly before I go, just to make it easier on everybody. I'll try to pull up a link to that. Okay. Let me see. All right, just bear with me for a second here, guys. Okay, there we go. All right, so if you go in here, and here's the link. Okay, that's the Facebook group that I've created. It's not really thriving, to be honest. I've kind of let it go because I've got so many things going on. A better place, honestly, to sign up would be at the Patreon page, but I understand too that costs money. So if you're not willing to go that route, this would be another route, and I will try to keep up with it more. I'm going to try to, I got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. But right here on the channel is where the majority of most things will happen. So at least make sure that you're subscribed and you've got that bell notification clicked to be notified of those things. And those who are Patreon members, they know that inside of that group, there's not a lot of activity right now, as much as there will be in the future. But right now, you still have access to things that people don't get access to on other areas if you're a Patreon member. And I'm going to be updating that actually here soon too. I'm going to try to go through a studio tour with my Patreon members here in just a few days. I think that'll be a fun little venture so you guys can see what I work with and what I don't work with. So until next time, guys, you all have a blessed day. It's been really great having you all, and stay safe, stay healthy, and I'm sorry. I just feel really sad knowing that this is not going to be going on next Saturday, but I will try to make sure that it still does go on every week, whether it's on a Saturday or not. So just hang tight with me, guys. We're going to make it through this, and we'll work something out. Who knows? Maybe in between then, some investor will step up and be like, hey, I seen your show. I liked it. I'm going to sponsor you. Who knows? And then we'll do it every day. All right. But until next time, guys, I love each and every one of you. Thank you all so much. If you're a subscriber, you're awesome. Even if you're not, I love you. And if you're a super chatter, you're awesome. Even if you're not, I love you. Just keep safe. Hang in there, guys, and realize that this too shall pass.